Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome back to our series on the Havamal. Today we are looking at verse 157, and it reads, A 13th I know, if the newborn son of a warrior I sprinkle with water, that youth will not fail when he fares to war, never slain shall he bow before sword. And that is Olive Bray. Second translation. I know a 13th if I throw a cup of water over a warrior, he shall not fall in the fiercest battle nor sink beneath the sword. W.H. Auden and P.B. Taylor. And the final translation. For the 13th I know, if on a young man I sprinkle water, he shall not fall. Though he into battle come, that man shall not sink before swords. And that is Vikinger.org. Fortunes of War. Now, generally, when we think of a baby sprinkling, it's usually a blessing on the child to welcome them into the family's religion, and a commitment to raise them in accordance with the theological dictates of that religion. And oftentimes, godparents are appointed, and things of that nature. So, any thought of war, battle, conflict beyond potentially awkward family dynamics, because after all, Great Aunt Tilly and Grandpa Merlin, they haven't exactly gotten along for the past 30 years. That's usually the worst that people have to contend with on these occasions. And so anything worse, I mean, those thoughts are just as far away as what they could possibly be. And of course, the idea of this newborn, this baby, this innocent child, one day growing up and possibly dying in war, is terrible. And no one wants that idea in their heads. And it would be a tremendous blessing and comfort if the child's safety through any form of physical conflict could be ensured. Our ancestors had to cope with an extremely violent world, just as we do today. Because I mean, it is starting to get worse in that regard. But I do think, unlike us, I think in a lot of ways we're in denial about that reality. I think our ancestors tended to be much more pragmatic than we are, and so instead of thinking, "Oh, I must eliminate all conflict from the earth," they were more focused upon actively safeguarding as much as possible children from the inevitable dangers that they would face at some point in their lives. So let's discuss pagan baby blessings because that is a thing. And ultimately, while I think we all recognize that a child will ultimately choose their spiritual child path as an adult, but it is an overall good for pagan parents to seek blessings from the gods. A spiritual community and their family to ensure a good start for the child's life. It's just a nice thing to do, and it can be an occasion for parents to reflect upon the values that they're really hoping to instill into their children, regardless of what the child's ultimately spiritual path is, and to really to make a commitment to raise them in accordance with those values, so they can see why they are virtuous, so why it does lead to a better life, why it does provide meaning. I think it is the duty of a parent to provide a spiritual foundation, not to dictate what that spiritual future is, but to provide them a spiritual foundation, give them a starting point. And obviously, no one wants to put a damper on such a joyous occasion, but it is a good time to work significant protection magic. And honestly, I think we should be. The young are vulnerable, and babies most of all. And while no one can ensure total protection for them, it's fitting and proper to actively put as much magic and magical and mundane protection upon them as what is possible. And as they grow up, they can learn how to gradually face the dangers of the world until they become an adult and they are equipped just to deal with whatever life happens to throw at them. But it's important to get things off on a good basis. So that's where my thoughts took me on this first. I'll let me know your own thoughts and opinions in the comments. I'd be interested to hear them. Next month, we will be finishing up the Havamal, 2 verses a week, just like we've been doing. And I hope to see you then. By that, I'll do it for now, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.